Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one person or one starfish at a time. As always, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share. It's how we get the word out about what we do. I'm excited for our guest today. I just met Amy. We actually met through Threads, through Instagram, kind of all over the place, which is super cool. So Amy's a family lady. She's got a couple young daughters, 3 and 7. So I want you to pay attention to that as we go into like history here. 13 years in government, in corporate, got out of that, got into wellness industry in 2019, and then got out of that in 2023. And now we're in operations and client experiences, which sounds really cool. We'll go into more of it on the podcast, but welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say I love the name because it's so true, like the power of the impact of like one person, one story, and you just never know how that can transpire and help other people too. So I'm excited to be here.
Ah, I love it. That's awesome. All right, well, let's get into it. So you were 13 years in a quote, anyone that's listening, quote, air quotes, good job. Like people are like, I
Yes.
work for the government. They kind of think that that's like, you've got it made in the shade. So tell us a little bit about like that and then what got you out of that?
Yeah. So, I'd never really intended to work at the government. It just kind of naturally happened. And it's one of those things that, like, once you're in, like, nobody leaves because you've got the pension, the benefits, like all the things that come with it.
Oh,
And I was somebody who never really knew what they wanted to do and then ended up there. And I remember it was in 2015. I kind of started having these like feelings of like, I don't know if I'm really meant for this. I feel like I'm meant for more. But we kind of push it aside, push it aside.
mm.
And I just kept thinking, like, well, what would I even do? Like, what would that even look like? And we would have these meetings, and in these meetings, I would sit there thinking, we've already had this conversation. Like, we've talked about this 3 years ago.
The
Like,
government doesn't talk about the same thing again and again. What?
oh, I know, right? So I was like, I'm over these conversations. Like, we're not moving. I'm not helping people in a way that I want to help people. And then I started having anxiety and panic attack, what I was doing. And so I remember sitting in a meeting going, oh my gosh, looking out the window, thinking, how did I get here? Who am I? Is this really how I want to spend the next 20 years of my life? Is like wishing for 5 o'clock, wishing for the weekend, wishing for that next vacation, wishing for retirement. I was like, I'm essentially wishing my life away because I'm doing something that I don't enjoy.
Man, guys, listen to that. Are you wishing your life away? Like, say it loud. Too many people are doing that. Holy, that's like
They really
the box
are.
I'm on.
Oh, and it's so like it was such like an exciting but scary moment because you have this realization and you're like, what do I do with this information now? And so it actually just kind of snowballed and started. So I started using well, I went to the doctor for my anxiety and panic attacks, and then I was put on medication. The medication actually made me depressed. So I was like, this isn't helping me any. So I'm like, okay, I need to make some like lifestyle changes and start to discover more of like what do I actually want to do. So I started using aromatherapy. I went off with the medication and just started like being more mindful and doing like some yoga, some meditation, more running, like just taking more care of me. And then in 2017, I had my oldest daughter and I was like on mat leave and I'm thinking, okay, I know I don't want to go back to this job, but like, what am I going to do? So I started taking certifications in like aromatherapy, reflexology, and
Mm,
a bunch of different certifications that were like helping me. But I also thought, hey, maybe I can start a business from this.
mm.
And then I went back to my job and I said, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I've started a business and I'm, eventually going to be leaving. And then in 2019, I left there in September of 2019 and haven't looked back since. So yeah,
Wow.
it was exciting, but also challenging because, there's the little whispers. You have like your family and friends. Like I
I was
remember
gonna
we had
say, tell me about that.
Oh, so, I had some family members pulling me aside going like, "Are you okay? Like, is this the best decision? You have a young family now." And this actually, to be honest, wasn't even my family. This was my husband's family that was like pulling me aside, concerned in their way concerned. And I
Right.
remember
They love
having
you.
this thought at 1 in the morning one night because I'm stressed out, like, and thinking like it's not their life. They're not sitting here having stress about they have to go to work the next day. They're not putting on oils on their hands and doing deep breathing to walk into an office to a job that they don't like. They're not having to live that life. So yes, they may be concerned, but that's fine. That's their choice to be concerned. I know that I'm meant for more, and I know that what the next 20 years of my life is going to look like if I stay in this job. So why not try? I can always go back. Like I took an unpaid leave of absence. So I was fortunate in that sense that like I was able to take an unpaid leave before I quit. But I was like, why not try? The worst that happens is I go back to this or I do something different, but you don't know unless you try.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, like I said, this is my soap box right here. 'Cause I'm like, God, too many people are doing this. So, but your husband was supportive, I'm guessing, like the person closest to you, or was he kind of like, what are we doing too? I'm just curious.
He was a little like, what are we doing too? Because he has a corporate job. He doesn't handle change very well. Um, So, he was a little hesitant, but he's like, "I want you to be happy. I know you're not happy. So, like, I just go and we'll figure it out as we go."
Hopefully you figure this out soon, girl.
So, I was grateful for that, but it was a lot of conversations and it was a lot of like, "Are you sure this is the right move?" And then, left in 2019. Well, 2020, the pandemic hit, right? So
Right.
I wasn't able to work. So now I'm out of a job because I was a service-based business. My oldest daughter, we had just had her at the time, daycare was closed. So now I'm home with her at daycare, but my husband had an opportunity to get a promotion at his job. So I was like, let's try that. And I said, if I still would have been at my other job, we wouldn't have been able to. I'm like, again, I believe everything happens for like a reason, but now because of that, he's had multiple promotions at his job because of the chance we took in 2020 with him doing a lot of traveling and doing this. So it didn't make sense at the time, but, like, we can look back now and he's like, "Okay, I'm glad we made this decision." In the thick of it, yeah, there was challenging times, there was trying times, there was times where he's like, "Maybe you should go back to corporate," because I kept getting open, shut throughout the 2 years of the pandemic, but I don't know, he had to have a lot of faith and trust in me. I had to have a lot of faith and trust in myself too, so, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's amazing for yourself too. And so your own family now, was there any entrepreneurs? Did any of that, was that something you were raised with at all?
So that's so interesting that you asked because actually I was. So my mom owned a
Right.
flower business. So growing up, we always had to like go and help, in the field if there's customers, help with customers. We had like different festivals. So like I
Cool.
never was on the entrepreneurial journey, but I now that I look at it, I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense because my mom owned a business for 20 years. My grandma kind of did like a side hobby. And when I look on my actually both my parents' sides, we have a lot of entrepreneurs. Like one of my cousins owns a brewery, another cousin owns a construction business. Like there's just so much entrepreneur. So actually thank you for this question because now reflecting back, that kind of makes sense why my family didn't say anything
I was gonna say,
because
so they were actually relatively supportive
yeah,
because they're
love
like,
it.
yeah, this is the way you should do it.
Absolutely. Where like my
Good.
husband's family's very like corporate. We've got lawyers. We had his grandfather was a doctor, so very like structure
Very
and
corporate.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I know for me that was my parents didn't understand anything I did and the journeys I took, but they were supportive in the fact that they're like, well, I mean, they were business owners and th- they understood.
Yeah.
Which also helped me when I went into business, and I'm sure that helped you, that work ethic, which
Absolutely.
you would have had as a kid. And so if you listen to this, you're like, well, I don't have that. How can I do it? I'm like, you can be the first in your family. So if you don't have that
Absolutely.
family, someone somewhere decided to break the trend. Somewhere, someone in your family, every wealthy family has someone that broke it, and you can decide if that's you. So don't be listening to this, be like, oh, my family's not entrepreneurial. That's not going to be for me. I'm like, this started somewhere. So that could be you that starts that trend. Um, so yeah. So when you
I
started it,
love
what
that. And
are
it's so
some,
true. It starts with again, one.
yeah, it starts with one. And so what are some things that you did um at the beginning to help yourself become quote successful in the business? Like, did you knock on doors? You how did you start to build a business coming from corporate? Because I know a lot of people, that's their biggest fear is like, well, I don't know. How do I meet people? How do I make clients? How do I, yeah,
Yes.
blah, blah,
So my first year of business, to be honest, was a blur because I
blah.
said yes to everything. If somebody had a networking event, yep, I would be there. If somebody was looking for like a vendor, yep, I would be there. If somebody was looking for some type of donation, yep, I would be there. Like I looked back and I had written down everything I'd done. I think I'd done like 120 things that year. I don't even know how that was possible, but like I just knew that you got to get your name out there and you got to get yourself out there. And that's how you get the clarity in what do people
Mhm.
want. So then you start listening to feedback of like questions people are asking you. So then you can start crafting your content around that, or you can start maybe making your offers around that. But just really getting out into the community was really one of like the biggest ways of how I grew it. And then like networking, collaboration. So I would do like giveaways with other local businesses. I would say, hey, you and I both offer something similar. Let's do a giveaway on Instagram. And then, that way we would get more followers too. So it was a lot of like putting myself out there. I hosted events. I was like, you know what? There's no wellness event within my community. I'm going to create one. So I created like a wellness market and I did it twice. And again, that was getting like my name out there, my business out there. It was giving me connections as well. So I think that was the biggest thing of like, how can I get connections to like further grow my business and hear what people need?
I love that. And that's very tangible for anyone listening because most people are like, well, just sit at home and I'll wait on my computer, especially people in this new world,
Yes.
and it'll just come to me. I'm like, no.
No, it
No.
doesn't.
I remember my first couple of years. It was crazy. So that makes a lot of
Yep.
sense. And then you built that. It went on and off throughout COVID, like you said. Meanwhile, you're having, your little ones and stuff like that. And then, you've switched and now you've again readapted yourself and now you're doing operations and client management, which is kind of different from wellness. What got you into that
Yeah.
and why?
Yeah, so to be honest, again, it was one of those like pivotal years in 2023. We had like a lot happening, like personally, like there was a death in the family. My husband and I had gone away on vacation, and it was just like disaster after disaster with this vacation. And so 2023 was also the first year I worked entirely full time in my business because 2019
Right.
I was part time, 2020, 2021, 22 was all the COVID, and then 22, I also had another baby. So when I looked at my numbers in November of 2023, I looked back at what I had done for that year and I went, "Oh crap, like I'm not building a business right now because the numbers weren't matching." Was investing a lot in like growing myself, but the business side of things was really lighting me up. And so I was in this one program with somebody, her name's Lou Clark, and she is a coach around like helping people like with their money and stuff like that. And so in this program, I noticed there was a couple of things that she was, like, missing. I was like, "You said you're gonna do this, you kinda forgot this," and I actually know her on, like, a personal level, so I would, like, have this conversation with her outside of, like, the group container, and she'd be like, "You see so many things in my business. I know you have, like, a background in corporate. Like, can I hire you to work in my business?" And I was like, "Yes. Yes, you can hire me to work in your business, absolutely," and then it just kinda lit that fire into me of I knew my wellness business was, like, kind of the catalyst to get me out of corporate, but I knew it wasn't gonna be the be all and end all. I knew that there was something else coming from that. I just didn't know what that was. And then starting working with Lou in 2023, at the end of it, it just snowballed from there to people messaging being like, "Can you help me organize my business? I'm dropping the ball on all these things. Can you help me, like, figure this out? I'm, telling clients one thing, but then they're not getting this digital product I promised them. Like, how can we like make this more organized and a better experience for the client, but also better experience for me because my business is burning me out and I'm ready to burn it down." So it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I took a bunch of courses as well because I'm like, I know I have my experience, I have a background, but I'm like, I also want to have like the knowledge that goes with that and learn a bit more too. So yeah, it's been an exciting journey.
That's really cool. And I mean, I love it because you can just always readapt. People are always like, well, who you are. I'm like, well, who I am can change. I'm like a person and a person can do all kinds of things. So that can
Absolutely.
change as much as you want it to change. So never feel stuck wherever you're at.
Exactly. And I also found like too, yes, I have like the wellness background, but now my conversations that I have with like clients helping with their business have kind of shifted as well too, because I'm like, I have an understanding of like, okay, well, maybe you need to go take a nap right now instead of like trying to sell this offer, or maybe you need to go for a walk, or maybe you just need to like pause for the day. And like that's okay. Cause I think in entrepreneurship, we're so used to like pushing, pushing, pushing and going for that next goal that we forget sometimes to like enjoy where we're at and celebrate where we're at kind of thing too.
Mhm. Oh man, yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when you adapted there, by then has your family like quit like bugging you quite as much? Like you're like, I don't know what this girl's gonna do, but or like in-laws or whatever. They're just like,
Yeah, yeah,
she's
they
doing
were just very supportive. I think they don't know, honestly, what to say sometimes, right? Because it's a different world for them. Like they're used to
right.
asking like corporate questions where like my family, and again, no knock to my in-laws, but
No.
like with my family, my aunts and uncles and stuff like that, they're like, "This is amazing. I love this. Like this totally suits you and feels like this is a great fit for you." So like they've been very like supportive along the way. And I think um on the flip side, my in-laws, like they just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah, and you just do it anyway. And so,
Exactly.
while you have a little one at home too, which is impressive. So you're building a business and raising a business and raising a child, raising
It is.
children. Yeah.
And it takes a village for both. Essentially, like, I am like, our parents do live about an hour away, his parents and my parents,
Mm,
so I have to plan. Like, if we need help or support, like, I can't just, like, go drop the kids off, right? So it does take a village, as well as it takes a village to grow your business too.
hmm Yeah, and you were touching on that a little bit before, that networking was something that you think is really important. Talk a little bit more about that, associations, networking, and how you feel that plays a role for anyone listening?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just found, I kind of talked about how I was always putting myself out there, and it makes a big difference because me going to these different networking events, it could be 5 people there, it could be 100 people there. The important thing was, is I was getting in the room and I was very nervous because I'm like, you always have to do like your 2 minute speech, or like someone asks you like, who are you? What do you do? And even like before we got on here,
Even
I was like,
now.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what do I do again? Right. So like,
Yeah.
but that's what comes, is you get that clarity of like you saying more, and then you feel more confident in like how you're portraying yourself and what you're saying you're doing. Because before, you're kind of hiding behind your desk and you're like, this is what I do. But yet when you're in a room full of people, you have to project yourself, and then the nerves go away. And then again, like I said, you start to hear and what questions people are asking. And then you start to see a gap and a need of like, what do people need help with? Do I have a skill set? Or better yet, too, I might even know somebody that would be a good fit for them. So then I can now refer them to somebody else, being like, hey, you were talking about you're having some issues with your website. I know 3 people that are awesome and amazing with helping websites. Here's their information. So, like, again, it's just a great way to like expand your network and be that referral base for people too.
That's so good. That's yeah. And so go out there and talk to people. That's how you get better.
Yes.
Um, yeah. And then, through this, and I don't know if you did or not, did you invest in a coach? Or, you said you did a lot of schooling, so I'm kind of guessing like you might have.
Though I haven't stopped investing in a coach. So when I first started my business in 2018, I right away invested in a coach, and I invested in somebody. Her name is Carissa Lynn, and she had left her teaching job to start an entrepreneurial business. So I invested with her. She was the first time I ever did it because I was like, what she's done. So I know the power of like learning from her as well. And then that's also part of the reason why in 2023 I looked at my numbers, because I was investing so much in coaching, which also made me realize I wasn't implementing. And I wasn't
Mm,
trusting myself, and I was thinking that everyone else had all the answers, everyone else had all the knowledge, which, yes, coaching is great, but I'm like, I don't need to be investing in like 5 different coaches right now. Maybe let's just have one and
mhm.
go from there and trust myself and start implementing the things that I'm learning, instead of just the snowball effect of like invest, 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 invest all the time. So, yeah, I believe in like investing in coaches. Like, that's how we grow, that's how we learn. They see our blind spots all the time as
Mhm.
well too. So, yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I'll invest when I make money. Like I can't afford it right now. How did you work through that mindset, especially coming from corporate? Because you wouldn't have naturally just thought we invest in ourselves is what you do. Uh,
Right.
how did you work through that?
I honestly, I know that I need help. I know where I'm going, and I know that like me making some of these investments are going to help to catapult me to the next version, to the next level that I'm wanting to go. So again, there were some challenging conversations with my husband, because to be honest, I didn't tell him sometimes when I was making these investments, because I didn't want to hear his answer. I didn't want to hear him say like, we're spending money on this when we could be spending money on this, because
Yeah, you're spending money, you're not making any. What's going on,
exactly, exactly.
honey?
You're off right now, like, you're shut down because of COVID, but yet you're spending this money, right? So, um, again, those were challenging conversations to have in retrospect, but I also knew I had to do something. Like, I can't just sit and not do anything. And again, coaching was the way that like helped me kind of develop more as a person, but also in my business too. But yeah,
So
you just for anyone that's listening, yeah, it can be challenging. My first investment I made with a coach was $99. And I was like, oh, do I really want to spend $100 on like a 1 hour session with somebody? Like, it like hurt me so much. And then now I've spent like $10,000 on
yeah.
something, right? Like, I feel like it just opens the box to like, okay, like every level, like you increase more like your capacity.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, why would anyone be willing to invest in you? Like, that's
Yes.
how I look at it. Anyone listening, like, that's kind of how, I mean, that is how I look at it. And I think it's very true. Like, I'm obviously in the financial industry, so like literally investing. I'm like, who's going to invest 1 million with me if I'm not willing to invest 10,000 in myself, or whatever it starts with, like you said, start with
Yes.
100, whatever it is. So many people really struggle with that. So I really want you to listen to this. If you're listening, you're like, I want to be successful. All right, you have to invest in yourself. Like, no one's going to take you seriously and invest in you. I shouldn't say no one, but very few,
Yeah.
until you take yourself seriously enough to invest in you. And if you know the money's coming, why wouldn't you invest in yourself? Which brings me to a question.
Yeah.
Where did your self-belief come from to know that it was coming? Because I think that's something a lot of people have that are in the entrepreneur space. It's definitely something I had. I'm like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Or it's here. I think I'm trying to reword how
Yeah.
to say it. But like, where did that self-belief come from
Yes.
you?
That's a good question. And it's I feel like it was just a knowing. Like the knowing that I knew that I was meant for more, like in my corporate job, is also the same knowing I have in my business that like it's here, it's happening. I think the other pieces too of like proof in other people. Like seeing what other people are doing in the entrepreneurial space, I'm like, that's proof that it's possible for me to do it as well too. And so, when you're talking about like investing, really the key piece is trusting yourself. And if you're not investing and you're not doing some of that work, you're not trusting yourself. So then how are other people going to be able to trust you in your business? So I think it really goes down to like just having that trust and belief. And I did a lot of visualization. Like, I would journal, what do I want? What does like my ideal life look like? What are my goals? And I would journal it and then I would visualize it. And it was about a year ago, I realized stuff I had written down 5 years ago, I was actually living that life, but it just kind of naturally happened. I was walking my girls to school the one day and I'm like, oh crap, I wrote about this 5 years ago and we only had one daughter at the time. And like, here I am walking two girls to school. Like, I'm living the life that I wrote down. So I'm
Wow,
like,
that's so
how amazing is this?
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I would say that's really neat. And if anyone listening, one of the ways to build confidence and self-belief is keeping the promises you make to yourself. And
Yes.
would you agree with that? And like, how would you, like, I mean, for me, like even this morning, like I said, it's early here when we're recording this. And, I was like, I got to go to the gym. So that means I had to be at the gym at like 5, which means I had to do my reading before that. So I got up at 3:30. And so, but now I feel like such a champion.
Yes.
I'm like, woo. So, how did that apply to you? Do you feel like where you're like keeping the promises to yourself, and maybe that's where some of the self-confidence, self-belief came from?
Yeah, I think because every time we're not like you're saying, we're breaking that trust in ourselves. So I think like if I said I'm going to do something,
Mhm.
I either do it or I'm just even thinking of like my to-do list. I'm like, okay, I need to like get ready for this podcast. Am I going to get ready or am I just going to like let it go to the wayside? So like I spent time like I listened to some of your podcasts and stuff like that as well like beforehand. So I think it's really spending that time and like building that trust in yourself by doing the things that you said you're going to do.
Mhm.
Because every time we do that, we're showing ourselves that it's not possible and we're pulling ourselves and we're procrastinating and we're pulling yourself away from like that end goal of what we're really wanting to achieve. Sorry, I know that I didn't answer that. I kind of went on like a little bit of a
No,
tangent
that's so
there,
true.
but
You
yeah,
gotta you gotta do the things. And that will build that confidence. I love it. So in wrapping up, I always have 3 final questions, and then anything we didn't touch on that you think would be really impactful for our listeners. So first and final question is, if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you could say that could help them find it?
get out in nature,
Hmm,
go for a walk and just get quiet. I know that's more than one sentence, but I feel like I needed to be like,
that's fine.
don't
Yeah.
listen to music, don't listen to a podcast, just walk
Hmm,
and just pay attention to your thoughts as you're walking out in nature.
hmm. That's so good. Yeah, in nature. I mean, yeah, that's good. Second question, what's a favorite quote and why?
Favorite quote. Honestly, I just love all the inspirational quotes. There isn't really one that's like standing out, but like anytime I'm looking for some inspiration, to be honest, I go and look on like MD Motivator. He's does so much good in the world. And so I just love like he's giving back and doing things. But really, honestly, any quote. I just feel like because it's just like once you see like any type of positive quote, it lifts you up and you're like, "Oh, I feel better now because of that. Okay, let's continue on my day." So there isn't
MD
one
motivator.
specific
Check
MD
this out.
motivator. Yes.
Okay. Third and final question is, what's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Belief.
Hmm.
She believed. Yep.
Love that. All right, you run into someone in the coffee shop, they listen to this, they're going to go out and do these things, even though maybe their family's against it, journaling, investing in themselves, all the stuff we talked about. What's something we didn't talk on that you want to leave our listeners with?
Remember to have fun.
Mm,
I think that's so important as well too, is like, this life is meant to have fun. And so if you're not having fun in your corporate, try something different. Entrepreneurship, if you're not having fun as an entrepreneur, you can shift it. That's the amazing thing about being an entrepreneur. We get to create our journey. We get to create what our business looks like.
mm.
And so I just think it's really important to like make sure you're having fun and adding joy in your day.
That's cool. Guys, if you're having any things with your operations, your client experiences, by the way, obviously all the information for Amy will be in the show notes. Definitely reach out to her if you're like listening to that, you're like, I think that would really help me. Or if you have any questions along the way, Amy's amazing. So definitely reach out to her. Guys, if we go out there and help one person or one starfish at a time together, we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Amy.
Thanks so much for having me.